So I feel like being a professional writer is like super mysterious because it's like, what the do you do all day, every day? What does it look like? And how do you live and how do you survive? And are you just bored in your house all day? So I thought that I would show like a week in the life of an actual professional writer. I'm saying actual, like people are not professional writers, but like this is my job. Yeah, this is my job. Hi, my name is Vanessa and I'm writing a novel in 2 years. I'm also a TV writer, written for shows like How to Get Away with Murder, The Sandman. I've done anime projects and now I'm writing a literary horror novel. A lot of the industry has moved from work from home. So whether you're working on a show or you're not, the industry has pretty much gone virtual. Most of my week, especially because I'm not in a show right now, most of my week is my own. The projects that I work on are my own. I can do whatever as long as I'm getting the work done, and I feel very lucky to be able to do that. However, I've had to mix a good amount of like going outside and doing the work in order to not lose my fucking mind. I think it's really important for writers to be outside, get inspiration. We know that writers like to go to the library, like, you know, like all of that. And I think that's great to be like surrounded by books, bookstores. If you're doing that, you're like already ahead of the curve. I like to go out. I like to party. I like to meet up with people. I like to go out to the movies. That's like my favorite way to get inspiration. Like there's a bunch of different things that if you are a professional writer, you could be doing with your week. And so I just wanted to show like what I do during my week as a writer, writing a novel and just navigating the industry. My schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have a productivity generative workshop class, and that's like where I get the majority of my novel writing done. It's from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So 4, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours I spend writing my novel during the week. And then outside of that, Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's like my industry day. So if I have industry work or like meetings or like I'm setting up emails, whatever, that's when I'm doing that. So that's kind of how I break up my schedule. So you'll kind of see like certain days I'm like doing nothing but writing, and then other days I'm like out and about, and that's usually like the industry days because it's less intense and it takes a little less out of me. Okay, it's Monday. We have our Monday class, and I think I still have to do my matcha.
All right, so it is now 9:15.
We took 2 weeks off, our little spring break, and now we're back. So today I have a schedule as far as what I want to do with these classes. We have a planning session. I pull a tarot card and then we journal about it. And then after that, I'm actually probably going to do some scheduling. But if I don't do that, I'm taking this other like self-instructed class about memories and how to organize memories on the page. The Pomodoro has started. I'm late. It's just that kind of morning. It is okay to be a little late. These are the cards. This is what they look like. Beautiful, right? I'm so bad at this. What I reflected on today, what the cards reminded me of, or, you know, helped me reflect on, what the prompt helped me reflect on is, so far, my intuition has been correct. So far, if I make a mistake, we make the mistake, we deal with it. The West, particularly, does not value artists, and so it's really hard to keep yourself motivated and feel like it's worth it. As long as you have discipline, a plan, you will finish your work. My writing process, it's just about discipline. It's not that interesting, but it is about being very disciplined. That's what's helped me. Some people can just like willy-nilly it. For me, my willy-nillying it will just cause me to smoke and chill. So I have to have a lot of discipline. Re-outlining, and we're working on making sure each moment of the book flows in arcs. So one section has to build another section, and that's kind of how you get to the book. It doesn't have to be like the climax, but it has to build on each other and mean something as you're writing. So anyways, I'm working on that, and that's gonna be my lock-in time. So wish me luck. We have moved into the writing session of the day. This is when I get super cozy and I sit on the bed and I handwrite. I'm gonna say this is like, as someone that does this professionally and for fun and for the love of the game, I can think of 8 million things I'd probably rather do than start writing. But once I'm in it, sometimes it's okay. 2 more hours of work. We're super grateful that we write for a living. But also, I'd almost always rather be horizontal, always. There's nothing else I'd rather do. I love it. But to sit down, to crack open Final Draft or Word doc or whatever, open up your notebook, it's the starting where you're just like, bro, I should have became a musician. All these thoughts happen when it's time for me to start writing. And then you start, and then the horribleness goes down by like 5%. And you can do it after that, so. I told her that. She was like, I don't like big cities. And I was like, Mom, please. This is my day, the day in my life. They're gonna be like, so you don't do shit. Today is Wednesday, and we are currently about halfway through our 4-hour writing session. Today is pretty good. I overslept, so I missed like the first 15 minutes of the first little Pomodoro. So we just finished the second Pomodoro, and I think I've officially woken up. I made a really strong matcha, and this was really good so far. We finished the chapter. It was kind of an emotional chapter to write, so I'm really happy that I got through it. We're gonna try to start another chapter just to start it. I'm just trying to make sure, because I've been reorganizing constantly, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm practicing actually writing physically, because on Monday, because I had taken my little 2-week hiatus, I could feel the difference when I was trying to write physical words and like come up with sentences. I could feel the physical difference, and I could feel like I was struggling to come up with things to say. So I think I'm just gonna try to implement that every single day. You do the 500 words, but it's just mostly so I can make sure that I'm keeping up and I'm like keeping the thing fresh. I always watch like a concert when I'm writing. Sometimes I listen to actual like YouTube videos of people talking, anything to distract my brain. But I'm watching currently the Gorillaz live show in Finland. It's like one of their best performances, and they're also my favorite band. I think what's interesting is a lot of artists watch or engage in other artists, like other mediums, as they're doing their medium. I think a lot of musicians love poetry, and then you have like a lot of artists that listen to other artists talking about their art. I'm listening to musicians listening to musicians, and I think for me personally, listening to musicians is like it's just amazing to see other people like fully in their element and like fully realizing and actualizing like their craft. And it's a little bit inspirational, and it kind of, that energy kind of makes me energized when I'm writing. So I wanted to show this. This is the emotional thesaurus. My teacher in the class brought it up to us. So if you're struggling with, you know, oh, how do I show annoyance? How do I show anger? This is so good. So you're not just writing like, he furrowed his brows, he clenched his fists. This is just a way. So like, let's say you can see defeat. And then we have the physical signals of defeat, the internal sensations, you know, if you're writing close third or first person. And then we have just like how you can build up to it and like what it might escalate to. So this book is super helpful if you're someone like me and you're like, I don't know how to write any emotion. Also, what is an emotion? And that's kind of what I use when I'm writing, because I'll be like, what the fuck? Also, I'm writing objective. And so I'm like, I need only physical external sensations. Like, so I can't just say the same shit over and over again. So that's what I use. So I have a chapter that I'm editing right now. It's not, I try to do like 5 pages a day of this. I don't care about showing this because it's like so rough. I kind of just do blackout drafts where I'm just like writing. I don't give a fuck if it's bad, if it sounds like a first grader, I just write. And then I go back and let me show you. Then I go back and make notes for me to actually put into the thing. And like I said, sometimes I just draw things. So right now I'm trying to get through a pretty, I don't know if this is going to make it in chapter. Okay, we have finished our Pomodoro, finished our 4 hours. I'm eating some oatmeal. Love eating porridge like a Victorian child. It was just straight writing. And I feel like any artist can understand that sometimes after a really intense session, you just get really tired. My teacher was saying like, you know, writing is a physical act. I think that goes for any art. But talking to writers, it's a physical act. So it makes sense that I'm wiped out. I have a lot more work to do for the program. So I'm gonna try to do that work, try to go to the gym. I'm supposed to be connecting with a friend. Be yourself. Okay, today's Thursday. I don't have any time because I'm supposed to be going to a drink situation. But I didn't record earlier because I just wanted to like, I woke up, got out of bed, got right into it. I went to the coffee shop again, did some work. I have to turn in a few thousand words on tomorrow. And I have 1,000. That's not a few, that's 1,000. I'm about to meet up with someone that I've known in the industry for a very long time. They were one of my first, the first people that I worked with, and I'm really excited to meet with them. We're going to this place in Hollywood, and we're going at 6, which I'm like, oh, thank God. March was so intense as far as like things to do that like I unless it's a goth party and I'm like going out, I feel like because at 6 o'clock, that means I'm about to be home at like 8. Okay, today is Friday. We kind of failed at our 96-hour class today because we were very distracted because someone was distracting me, but it's fine. It was also just a very long week, and this week, as we know, I've been going to coffee shops a whole lot just because I couldn't be asked to sit my ass at the house for whatever reason. So instead of, you know, suffering through it, we are gonna go to a coffee shop to finish out the rest of our hours. We'll probably work like 3-ish, maybe more hours. I have pages due today. I have a query letter due next week. I have taxes due. It's a hot mess. So we're gonna go to the cafe and try to get it done. Okay, bye.
Islamic theology. Yeah.
Chose.
Like the whole Mahdi thing.
Look at my dirty ass. Wait, whoa. It's so dirty. I need a new phone.
I agree. Okay.
They look like little mythical creatures up there.
They do though.
Anam, Shah, wave to the camera. Thank you. Lady Azalea will die by noon. Hello, everybody. We're And then Sunday I was sick as a dog because not sick like sniffing, but like chronic illness kind of was like, you need to slow down. And so this week I was a bit of a hermit crab. Although this week I'm traveling to Denver for my intensive. So it's going to be crazy a couple weeks. In addition to that, we're dealing with the U.S. politics. We're dealing with making sure that we're trying to build community. So here's a little tip, or, you know, you can do this. I picked someone in my little complex that I hadn't, we've connected with people before, but someone that I haven't quite connected with. And I bought them some, like a little tiny gift, and brought it to their doorstep, just like a, hey, if you ever need anything, this world is getting America is being very violent and we don't know what's gonna happen next. So if you need anything, please reach out to me. And, you know, we're gonna meet up and talk, and who knows what's gonna come from that. I also applied to a couple other organizations that are new to me and more writer focused. And so hopefully that can help, especially as my chronic stuff is like kicking up again. So hopefully having something that's a little bit more sedentary will be helpful so I can actually keep going. Because that's the thing, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you need to make sure whatever you are doing, which you should be doing something, especially as an artist. We talked about that last week. You should be doing something, because otherwise your art is going to reflect your nothingness, and it's going to be sterile, and you're going to be like, why am I not reflecting the times? Why am I not? Because anyway, watch the last video. The war is still ongoing, and it's still really important that you build community. The gas prices are crazy high. Talk to your neighbor, talk to your friends. Like I said, just reach out to someone that you've kind of seen, that you haven't really talked to in your neighborhood, and just leave a little gift. Cookies and incense. That's what I did. So, you know, I think little small gifts like that, people are like baked pies, I ain't doing all that shit. Basic, I'm thinking about you things can go a long way. So yeah, that's kind of it. I think this week was probably a little bit elevated as far as like my week, like I do a lot of stuff, but this week was like everything, which was kind of the perfect way to show this is an example of a week of a professional writer. We have a lot of fun. There's a lot of intense studying. You have to be dedicated to your craft. Unfortunately, we have to think about the business side of things, which is why I have 2 days dedicated to industry stuff. If you don't know, my novel is a literary horror novel, and it follows a monster who is dying. And it goes into the memories of the last person that's eaten, because it assumes that the last person that it's eaten has the key to why it's dying. And it's a disgusting, pus-filled horror monster, so it's really gross. But I'm exploring themes like illusions of grandeur, disillusionment, the things that we do to cope in crumbling and authoritarian societies that don't protect us from violence, but we think protects us from violence. So last week, believe it or not, within all of that, I was churning out work. Like, I was not fucking playing. So even though it seems like you're just moving around, bopping around, there's still an expectation that you have to get your stuff done. So it's great to see writers who are moving around, doing what they want, going to coffee shops. But the most important thing is, are you getting your work done? Are you able to be self-sufficient in getting your work done? And that doesn't work for every writer. Some writers need structure. I myself like the structure of my generative class. You have to be able to kind of have a way to keep yourself accountable. Otherwise, the issue with not having like a job that you go into is that other things miraculously become more important. You think, oh, I have time, I can do whatever I want. Then what happens is, if you don't have the practice of putting your work first, everything else will come first. Oh, I can spend the day cleaning. Oh, I can spend the day doing that. Oh, and then by the time you look, it's been a week and you haven't touched your work. So the hardest thing about being a writer that kind of can do their own thing is making sure that you have the discipline to give yourself time to work on your stuff, even if you're sitting down. You have a goal that you're working towards, 500 words a day. I need to turn in this thing. For me, it's homework and meeting with agents. Like, you have goals that keep you going forward. Otherwise, it's a hot mess. If you are a writer who's kind of thinking you want to do your own thing, or like, oh my God, like I'm trying to set up my life so I can just like be a writer, that's cool, but set up the discipline practice now, because I promise you, having time, like if you just suddenly get unfettered time where you can just like, oh, I'm just gonna write, you're not gonna do that if you're not ready. You're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it. So I tell all my like fellow writers who are kind of moving into the space that I'm coming to, I hope that you have a discipline. I hope that you have a good discipline practice, and I hope you also have a good like inspiration practice, and I hope you have a good community practice. I hope that you have time to stand up for what you believe in, to fight against the regime, to fight against the war, fight against ICE, whatever you are really passionate about, because there's a lot of shit to be passionate about. I hope that amongst the writing time that you're craving, you account for making sure you have time to become a person that has things to write about. Thank you so much for watching. This was a little bit different this week, but I'm super excited to be back. You like my hair? I'm going for futuristic. That's like my like look these days, like futuristic goth. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. I'll be going to Denver for the intensive. I'm going to record as much as I can. It's a writer's intensive where there's a bunch of workshops. I'm meeting with my cohort live, and it'll be a really good time, but a really exhausting time. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about writer's block soon. I'm going to get it together. My background is weird today because I'm setting up my desk. It's a mess. So I just decided to sit down on the ground and do this. So thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Tell me what your writing practice is. Like, what is it like for you? Do you have unfettered time? Do you wish you had unfettered time? Now that you've heard like what you have to do during unfettered time, do you feel like you're ready for this shit? Because I swear to God, if you're just like... Anyway, I'm not gonna go over that again. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!